Bay Area, it is a perfect day for baseball. Welcome to the Coliseum in Oakland as Fox Saturday Baseball presents the newly crowned champions of the Central, the Detroit Tigers, taking on the Oakland Athletics. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to the Coliseum. Welcome to our coverage of Major League Baseball right here on Fox. Mario and Pemba, Rod Allen, glad to have you with us. For the Tigers who win the division yesterday, Rod, they certainly still have some business to take care of. Meanwhile, for the Athletics, you are still looking toward 2012 and making some decisions on your ball club.
Exactly the message that Jim Leyland had for his team last night. Celebrate, have as much fun as you can tonight, but when you come to the ballpark tomorrow, be ready to play. They're still trying to end up with the best record in the American League. If you're Bob Melvin, on the other hand, the interim manager of the Oakland Athletics, they are one game below 500 the second half of the season. They want to finish with a good taste in their mouth, playing a lot of veterans, but still looking at a lot of the young kids.
All right, Tigers and Athletics getting ready to go at it here today on a great day for baseball in the Bay Area. The Tigers turning their attention toward the postseason, still chasing the best record of the American League. The A's, meanwhile, looking to finish strong here in 2011. Stay with us. Tigers A's first pitch coming up next on Fox.
First pitch, 1-10.
And welcome back to the Coliseum here in Oakland as the Tigers take on the Oakland Athletics here. Game 3 in this series. The Tigers, of course, clinching the Central last night with a win against the A's. They are facing Gio Gonzalez of the Athletics and Austin Jackson leading it off for the Detroit Tigers. There's the 1-1 pitch to Jackson. He hits it on the right side of the infield, right at Brandon Allen, who retires Jackson by touching the bag. Opening pitch today was brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. So that'll bring up Maglio Ordonez. Ordonez playing in right field today for the Tigers, hitting .245. The Tigers come in with 88 victories. They have been defeated 63 times, clinching the Central last night with the win over the Athletics. And Ordonez shoots it foul back into the seats, 0-1.
And when the Detroit Tigers acquired Delman Young from the Minnesota Twins, that meant Maglio Ordonez's playing time would be literally cut in half. But when he has gotten an opportunity, he has produced for the Tigers.
Gonzalez missing outside. 1 ball and 1 strike on the Tigers right fielder, who of course was a big hero against these A's back in 2006 with a home run to send them into the World Series. But these days Ordonez limited playing time, as Rod mentioned, and he's really handled it well.
Absolutely. Maglio's a pro. He's had a wonderful career.
The 2-1 pitch. Right back up the middle into center field, a base hit. Tigers have their first base runner of the day. Here's the rest of the Tigers starting lineup, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Jackson, Ordonez, Rayburn at the top. In the middle of the lineup, very potent for Detroit. Cabrera, Martinez in the 4 and 5 slots. Then Peralta, Inge, Danny Wirth, and Omir Santos getting the start here today for Detroit. Here is Ryan Rayburn with 1 on and 1 out. What a stunning day here today in Oakland. Clear skies. Beautiful afternoon. Ryan Rayburn playing in left field today. And he takes strike 1. Rayburn at 246, although he's had a terrific second half and has been a very good second half player for Detroit. One thing Jim Leland has done is involve just about everybody on his roster this year. That's hit hard to left field, a base hit. So the Tigers picking on Gio Gonzalez quickly here with a couple of singles.
Let's take a look at the Oakland Athletics defensive alignment in this ball game this afternoon. In the outfield, you have Willingham in left. You have Crisp in center. DeJesus, he's in right. The infield, left to right, we read Sizemore, Pennington, Weeks, and Allen. And Kurt Suzuki is behind the plate this afternoon.
Here are the numbers on Gio Gonzalez, making his 30th start, looking for his 14th win of the season.
A lot of strikeouts, 177 strikeouts for Gonzalez in a 179 and 2/3 innings. The opponent's hitting .237 against the talented left-hander.
Ball 1 on Miguel Cabrera.
He really has had no success in his career against the Tigers. Very good left-hander, good stuff, but struggles against a good lineup like the Tigers have.
And facing one of the better hitters in the American League, if not all of baseball, Miguel Cabrera having another solid season. .335 batting average. Wave and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike on Cabrera, who's kind of nudged his way into the conversation for MVP in the American League.
He is probably the most dangerous hitter in the league.
Knocking on the door for 100 RBIs. Cabrera has knocked in 97 this year. The 1-1.
Very seldom do you have a player that stands 6 feet 5 inches, about 250 pounds, that has his kind of power, but yet has some finesse in his swing. He's hitting well over 330. He uses foul line to foul line with power.
Outside as Gonzalez stays away. Now the count goes to 3-1. Cabrera, no stranger to taking a walk. He has done that a lot in this series. He's walked 5 times.
No secret coming from the other side that they're going to stay away from Cabrera in this series.
Here's the 3-1 pitch. He checked it. Strike called by home plate umpire Jim Reynolds.
When talking to most opposing managers and you ask them, will they attack Cabrera or will they attack Victor Martinez, they simply tell you one guy is a future Hall of Famer, talking about Cabrera. The other guy is a perennial all-star.
Bob Melvin, the interim manager of the Athletics. Here's the 3-2 instead. A throwback to second, and Ordonez nearly got caught.
Don't know what happened to Gio Gonzalez when he was trying to pick off at second base, but he appeared to twist his ankle or something. Let's take a look at it. That's exactly what he did. Looked like that right ankle got caught.
And so they will tend to Gonzalez on the hill, and I'm sure he will get a complement of warm-up pitches here to see if he can continue. Awkward looking play here on the throw.
Yeah, take one more look as he wheels and turns. When this right foot hits the ground right there, you could see the ankle roll, and that's the issue he's having right now.
Well, Gonzalez takes one warm-up toss and says he's all right. So despite that limp, Gio will continue in this game.
When you have a player like Cabrera standing in the batter's box and the count is 3-2 and he does hit into some double plays, as a manager, Jim has a tremendous amount of trust in Cabrera to put the ball in play, therefore not afraid to start the runners even though they don't have stolen base type speed.
And there they go. It's fouled off by Cabrera. Well, Cabrera this year has been among the best in the American League with men in scoring position. 397. I mean, here we are almost to the end of September, and he's hitting nearly 400 with men in scoring position. He has had an absolutely terrific year. Second in the league in hitting. And trying to give the Tigers an early advantage here. And again, the 3-2. Runners go. And it's driven to right field on a line and caught chest high by De Jesus. And Maglio is going to be doubled up. Ordonez was rounding third. And the Athletics get a double play. 1/2 inning in the books here in Oakland. No score. Oakland in a scoreless ball game. Rick Porcello taking the hill. Here is the starting lineup for the A's, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Jemile Weeks leads it off for the Athletics, followed by Coco Crisp and the DH Hideki Matsui. Willingham is the left fielder today, cleaning up. Then De Jesus. Cliff Pennington at short. The bottom three for Bob Melvin is Alan Suzuki and Scott Sizemore. Here's the sprint pitcher profile now on Tigers right-hander Rick Porcello.
When Porcello's right, he's got a power sinker south of the knees in the strike zone, and it moves all over the place, and for that he gets lots of ground balls. One of the things that they'd like to see him do a little bit more of, especially against left-handers, and that's pitch inside a little bit more aggressively. Also needs to make adjustments. First time through the batting order, 222 batting average against Porcello. After that, the batting average goes up about 100 points.
And his numbers this year, a little bit of an uneven season for Porcello. The ERA at 4.83. Yet you look at his numbers, and he's in search of his 15th victory of the season today as Jemile Weeks leads it off. It'll be Weeks, then Crisp, and then Matsui. Jemile 0 for 4 in this series. And Porcello missing outside. 2-0. Weeks started the year at AAA. Hit .321 at Sacramento and then called up in early June for the Athletics. He shows bunt. Jemile, of course, is the brother of Ricky Weeks, a very talented baseball family. Hasn't homered yet in his big league career. And Porcello delivers a strike.
At this point in time, Weeks is probably more ahead from an offensive standpoint than he is defensively, but they feel like he can make himself to an average big league second baseman.
Popped up into shallow left. Ryan Rayburn staring into the sun, one gone.
Let's take one more look at the double play that ended the inning. When the runners are started on a 3-2 count and the ball's hit on the line, what you're taught to do is you have to just continue to run. There's no way that either runner is going to get back to the bag. Magalo vacated second base. He was all the way around third base when the ball landed in the glove of De Jesus, the right fielder. Therefore, he just kept going.
One of the chances you take, I suppose, is starting the base runners. Here is Coco Crisp. He shows bunt. Athletics with some speed at the top of the lineup with Weeks leading off, and now Crisp, who has 41 steals this year. He's had a nice series.
I was talking to Bob Melvin before the game today about Crisp, and he said that before he took over as the manager of the Oakland Athletics, he did not realize how good a player Coco Crisp was. He can do a lot of different things. Very good defender, very smart player, outstanding base runner, and he's good in the clubhouse.
Would you say he's a bit underrated around baseball?
Well, I'd say so, but the Oakland Athletics usually don't get a chance to get seen that much on national television. And they play out west, therefore a lot of people don't get a chance to see Crisp.
Crisp in the series, 4 out of 9, a couple of doubles. Here's the 2-2. Lifted again toward left field. Rayburn is on the run to the gap. 2 gone.
Well, you know, Ryan Rayburn's in left field. Let's take a look at the rest of the Tigers defensively. Austin Jackson in center field. And one of the best center fielders in the game of baseball. Jim Leland said he has more range than any center fielder he's ever had. You have Ordonez in right, Inge, Peralta, Worth, Cabrera, the infield, and Omir Santos getting a rare start. The all-star backstop catcher Alex Avila getting a rare day off.
Yeah, Avila has played in 130 games this year, so Santos gets an opportunity today. Of course, the Tigers had a late night last night celebrating their victory. But Jim Leland running out many of his starters here again today. Hideki Matsui, the batter, with 2 outs. Ball high. 1 ball, 1 strike on the veteran Matsui, who is the designated hitter today. He's been alternating between left and DH with Josh Willingham. Hitless in the series, 0 for 7.
And Bob Melvin, when he put Matsui in that number 3 spot, right around the first half ending, his numbers have gone up tremendously. 209 the first half, 316 after that. And the team has played better baseball. They're just 1 game under 500 since the break.
Here's the 1-2. Foul down the left field line.
Bob Melvin told us when he took over as the manager of the A's, they really didn't have a number 3 hitter every single day. And they were rotating us several different guys at that position. He simply took Matsui and anchored him in that position. Willingham batting 4th. Of course, you got Crisp and Weeks at the top of the lineup. And from an offensive standpoint, they've gotten a little better.
And they've gotten some stability in the middle of their lineup, which obviously goes a long way. Hit hard off the glove of the first baseman, Cabrera, into right field. A 2-out base runner for the Athletics. Cabrera this year has been very good defensively for the Tigers. This one bit him a little bit, though.
Really the way that you're taught to play the first base position. You play it with 1 glove. They teach you really don't ever have to get in front of anything. That's just how they teach you to play that position. He tried to Olay it and couldn't pick it.
12th error of the year for Cabrera. And it keeps the inning going for the Athletics. Willingham stands in. .253 hitter this year. However, 27 home runs, a career high, and so are the 92 RBIs. And it really has been quietly an outstanding year for Willingham. Big swing there.
There were a lot of teams that called for Willingham at the trade deadline, but they simply did not meet the demands of the vice president and general manager, Billy Beane. Therefore, he still wears the Athletic uniform, and there are worse guys to start your 2012 season with, guys that possibly hit you 30 home runs and 100 RBIs.
No doubt. And for the most part, this has been an Athletics team that has not had a whole lot of power, although they've hit a few in this series against the Tigers. 2-1 on Willingham. And Porcello missing inside. You'll be able to tell if Rick Porcello is having a good day if he gets a lot of ground balls. That has been his MO. That hard sinker that he throws, former #1 pick of the Tigers, only 22 years old. And he misses for ball 4. 2-out rally now for the Athletics. Now, Jim Leyland, you have to figure, is going to be certainly a candidate, if not one of the top candidates for American League Manager of the Year this year.
He's a good leader.
Now, Manny Acta had his team in the race for most of the season in Cleveland. But it was Leyland's bunch that got it done with a big September. Here is DeJesus. And Porcello hits the strike zone, 0-1.
Porcello has had his struggles this year against left-handed batters, and they come in hitting .329 against him. Right-handers, and they hit only .236 against Porcello. That has been one of his issues this year.
And he's dealing with a left-hander here and 2 men on in the bottom of the first. No score. There are the splits on Rick. 14 homers allowed to the lefties. One ball, one strike. DeJesus, one of those guys that has really feasted on Tigers pitching over the years. In fact, he has knocked in 52 lifetime against Detroit, and that's more RBIs against any opponent for DeJesus in 105 career games. Lifted back out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Veteran outfielder David DeJesus, who spent all of his career in Kansas City prior to coming to the Athletics. And one of those guys, Rod, that year in and year out puts up very solid, if not spectacular numbers, still a solid ball player.
And that's exactly what Oakland thought they would be getting this year, but obviously his numbers are a lot lower wearing an Athletics uniform than they had been prior to him coming to Oakland.
Santos with a nice stop, 2-2. Yeah, DeJesus this year has knocked in just 45. DeJesus has homered in the series, 3 for 6. And the 2-2. Bouncing ball to first. Cabrera has this one. He'll take it himself to end the inning. So the A's threaten. They get 2 runners aboard, but strand a pair. We go to the second. is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And by the makers of New Bear Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. What a stunning afternoon here in the Bay Area. We're in Oakland, California, as the Tigers and Athletics go at it. We're on the top of the second at the Coliseum. And the Tigers in the second will have Victor Martinez, to be followed by Johnny Peralta and Brandon Inge. And they'll face Gio Gonzalez, who gave up a couple of hits in that first inning, but got out of it with a double play. Victor Martinez, the Tigers' designated hitter. And we've talked a lot about Miguel Cabrera and the season that he has had. Martinez equally impressive.
Outstanding free agent acquisition after the season ended last year by David Dombrowski. Maybe the biggest free agent acquisition of any club. The Tigers knew if they were going to get the talent out of Miguel Cabrera that he had in his body, they had to find somebody to hit behind him because he was walked so frequently in 2010. They identified Victor Martinez as that guy. They signed him, and it's worked very well for the Tigers.
I know one of the things Jim Leland has said is that Miguel Cabrera is expanding the strike zone less frequently this year because he knows he has Martinez behind him.
And even though Victor Martinez is batting behind Cabrera, Cabrera still gets start treatment.
Bouncing ball. Pennington at short. And one away. Here's the Sprint pitcher profile on Gio Gonzalez.
He's got a live left arm. Fastball will go anywhere from 90 to 95 miles an hour with some pretty good movement. Knee buckling curveball. That's his best pitch. He also features a changeup. But what they would like to see is more intensity out of Gonzalez. Not just on days that he starts, but also on days when he's not pitching. They would like to see a little bit more focus. He has a tremendous amount of talent.
Johnny Peralta fouls one away. He's batting with one out. Peralta hitting .302. And one of the reasons for success this year for the Tigers, the depth they have had in their lineup. The Peralta batting toward the bottom of the lineup has been solid all season. Strike call.
And Johnny Peralta has always been one of those guys that's been a pull hitter, a dead pull hitter. Lloyd McClendon, the Tigers hitting instructor way back in spring training, started working with Peralta.
Wave and a miss. He left the strike zone there, and Gonzalez has his first strikeout.
On using the entire field, and that's why his numbers have gone up drastically this season.
Batting in the seventh position, third baseman.
Here's Brandon Inge, who has had an up and down season, and now it's back up again. Brandon Inge, who was really suffering offensively earlier this year. And instead of after the Tigers designated him for assignment, instead of fighting that, he went down to the minor leagues and now is back up here in September with all the call-ups.
Real solid defender. Offensively not performing this year.
The 1-0 pitch. 1-1 on Inge.
But he has as much range as any third baseman in the American League.
Flies this one in the air to right field, fairly deep. De Jesus is under it, and Gio Gonzalez has himself an easy 1-2-3 second. On our way to the bottom of number 2, no score. Chevrolet is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Back in Oakland, California, on a great day for baseball here in the Bay Area. The Tigers and Athletics hooking up today here at the Coliseum. And here come the A's in the bottom of the second against Rick Porcello. It'll be Cliff Pennington, Brad Allen, and Kurt Suzuki. 6, 7, and 8 in the lineup for Bob Melvin today. Pennington hits one foul down the third base line. 1 ball, 1 strike. One for 8 in the series. He has homered and scored a couple of times. Here's the 1-1. There's a strike call, 1-2.
Well located fastball, 91 miles an hour on the outside black. Not a lot Pennington can do with that last offering from Porcello.
And that's fouled away. I mentioned Porcello was only 22 years of age. He won 14 games in his rookie season. And I guess kind of set the bar a little bit high. A lot was expected for Porcello, who won 10 games last year. Lifted in the air, center field for Austin Jackson, and one gone. Time now for a DirecTV game break, and for this one, we go to Fenway Park in Boston. Top of the first inning, no score, 1 on, 2 out. Ben Zobrist goes deep. A 2-run shot to left field off John Lester. Desmond Jennings would come around to score as well, and Tampa takes a 2-0 lead as that game goes to the bottom of the second inning. How about those Rays? They continue to get it done. Get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
And that Tampa Bay Rays team can really pitch, and they have a tremendous manager in Joe Madden.
Brandon Allen, the batter. Allen possesses a whole lot of power. He hit a lot of home runs in the minor leagues. Still, I guess, Rod, trying to feel his way through the big league scene.
One of the things that he does is he drops his back shoulder. Take a look at the back shoulder. The back shoulder drops, therefore he comes underneath the ball, and he pops up a lot when trying to drive the ball the opposite way. But he does have a tremendous amount of pop in his back. Take one more look at this swing, and when the ball starts to get in the hitting zone, the back shoulder just drops. And that creates an angle which is going to create lots of swings and misses. Obviously, he has that uppercut swing that most left-handers have with power. But it has been a problem for him. He has struck out quite a bit.
You've been a hitting instructor in the past. How do you correct that flaw?
Stronger top hand. You have to think about having a stronger top hand on the bat. You have to think about that top hand being a hammer in your hand and simply coming down like you're trying to hammer a nail into a piece of wood. That's pretty simple, but it's hard to do.
3-2 on Brandon Allen. Three-2 pitch is into center field, base hit. Athletics with their first hit of the ball game on Porcello. Well, tomorrow on Fox NFL Sunday, the Bears, coming off their impressive Week 1 win, head to New Orleans to take on the Saints as two of the NFC's best teams collide, or the Cowboys look to bounce back from a tough loss as they battle the 49ers in San Francisco. Coverage begins tomorrow with the Fox NFL Sunday pregame show at noon, 9 Eastern, or 9 Pacific, I should say. Local listings, check them for the start time and the game in your area. Well, Porcello now dealing with a one-out base runner. Here is Kurt Suzuki.
Usually no problem when Porcello has been in these situations. Runner on, less than 2 outs. He throws lots of ground balls. As a matter of fact, Porcello averaging almost 2 ground balls for every fly ball since coming to the major leagues 4 years ago.
There are times when you take the field knowing who your starting pitcher is, and if you're an infielder, you know you've got to be on your toes with Rick on the hill.
And Tigers have a pretty good infield in there today. Danny Worth at second base, really good glove. Peralta's been stellar at short. And we've told you that Brandon Inge has real good range at third base.
And missed inside. 2-0 on Kurt Suzuki. 14 home runs this year for Suzuki, including 1 in this series. His bat has perked up a little bit of late. .329 in his last 22 games. And Porcello missing again. 3-0.
Last year, on many occasions, Kurt Suzuki was batting right in the middle of this Oakland Athletics lineup. But with the additions of Matsui and Willingham and DeJesus, he can slot him lower in the batting order.
Well, you do know this about the Athletics. They are not afraid to run him out there. As he takes ball 4, he has started over 500 games since the 2008 season. He draws a walk, and some trouble now for Porcello here in the second. That's his second walk in this game.
Third baseman, 29, Scott.
Here's Scott Sizemore.
That's a lot of RBIs. 51 for a guy hitting just .237. But some of his best work has been done in these situations.
Sizemore began the year with the Tigers, and then eventually was traded in May to the Athletics. And for a while there, as Porcello misses again, and that's going to bring Jeff Jones out.
That's how you get those RBIs. 351 this year.
Sizemore for a while was considered one of the top prospects in the Tigers organization. Had been given several opportunities to the major league level, but they traded him for pitcher David Percy back in May.
I was talking to Gerald Perry, the hitting coach, today about Sizemore, and he said one of the things that he did with Sizemore when he came over is he took a look at where he was holding the bat, and he noticed that he was holding the bat in his fingertips, and it didn't look all that comfortable to Sizemore. Sizemore said prior to this year, he kind of held the bat a little farther back in the palm of his hand, and Gerald said, why don't you try that? And now he kind of holds the bat a little bit deeper. You can see it right there, resting up against the thumbs, and the numbers have gotten better.
Shoots that one down the right field line. Base hit. Here comes Allen rounding third. They'll send him home. He will score. Throw comes back into second base, and Scott Sizemore has given the Athletics a 1-0 lead.
Sizemore hasn't performed very well when there has not been traffic on the base pass, but he perks up a little bit when there are runners in scoring position. And he kind of fights a fastball off to right field and drives in a run. It's a really good approach there by Sizemore.
52nd RBI of the season for Sizemore. 1-0 Athletics. And they're still in business here in the second. Here's the top of the order, Jemile Weeks.
Porcello has struggled so far in this game getting the ball down. His best pitch is the sinker, but he has not thrown many quality strikes below the belt buckle.
Big rip there by Weeks.
That's what they say about Weeks. They say he is not afraid to take a big swing, although he does not have a homer. He does not get cheated in the batter's box.
His next home run will be his first major league home run. He's trying to pick up a couple of base runners now. Suzuki and Sizemore. Wave and a miss. (0-2) on Jemile Weeks. Porcello came into this game 2-3 lifetime against the Athletics, an ERA of 4.50. He has won his last 3 straight decisions. And Weeks takes strike 3. Got it. First strikeout of the ball game for Porcello.
A nice little swing back fastball here by Porcello. Weeks thought that ball was going to be inside, but the arm slot that he throws it from and the movement that he gets with the pitch allowed it to catch the inside corner.
Here's Coco Crisp. Porcello has a strikeout to go with his 2 walks today. Popped up shallow center field. Jackson on the run, still coming hard, can't get it. Base hit. That'll get another run in. Suzuki scores, and the Athletics lead 2-0 on the bloop single by Coco Crisp. And Anytime you sit out the center field, you have to wait a beat because Jackson can get just about anything, but not this one.
But take a look at Jackson, though. I mean, when they swing the bat, your natural reaction is to take one step back. He did that. And by taking the one step back, may have cost him in making that play. But he is clearly one of the best center fielders in the American League and has a legitimate shot of winning a Gold Glove this year.
Here's Hideki Matsui with A's at first and third. Ball one from Porcello. 3 singles and a walk in this inning for the Athletics. The RBIs go to Sizemore and Crisp.
And don't know if Coco Crisp wants to steal a base here. If he's successful, that opens up an open base for Jim Leland to walk Matsui.
There he goes. And there's no throw from Santos.
Well, we've talked about the left-handed numbers against Porcello this year. Left-handers 100 points higher against him than right-handers. There's a nice parking spot for Matsui now with Coco Crisp taking that base.
'42nd steal of the year for Crisp. Driven down the right field line. That ball is hooking, and that ball is a foul ball. Ooh, Matsui almost hit himself a 3-run homer.
I know Willingham in the on-deck circles had a really good year with 27 home runs, which is a career high. He's also driven in more than 90. But the numbers don't lie. Left-handers versus right-handers against Porcello.
And Matsui almost made him pay. 2-1. 2-2 now on Hideki.
It's a well-located fastball. One of the things that Matsui does, and so does Ichiro Suzuki, is they really clear that front hip out of the way when starting their swing. Therefore, they like the ball inside. They don't do as much damage on balls that are away from them.
Porcello missing, running the count full now. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Matsui played 10 years in Japan prior to coming to the States. He first played with the Yankees, of course, many years with the Yanks, 7 seasons. Hit a lot of home runs in Japan. In fact, his final season in Japan, he hit 50.
That's how he got that nickname, Godzilla.
And Godzilla trying to add to the 2-0 lead here with a couple of men in scoring position. In the air, center field, routine for Austin Jackson. That'll end the inning. 8 men to the plate in this frame, and the Athletics get a couple of runs.
Ladies and gentlemen, time.
Lead in this ball game, and Danny Worth will lead it off here in the top of the third against Gio Gonzalez. It'll be Worth, Santos, and Jackson here against Gonzalez, who has kept the Tigers off the board in the first 2 innings. And we are pleased to go down to the Tiger dugout now, and we're joined by Doug Fister, who had a huge night last night. Doug, first of all, congratulations on the Central Division Championship. You pitched your team to that championship in your home state of California. Can you put into words what last night meant to you in terms of your entire career?
It sums up what we play this game for. It's what we want to do. It's what why we work so hard in the off season, why we come in and have a fire in our eyes. I mean, it's a tremendous honor to be a part of this clubhouse and have a camaraderie, a brotherhood with these guys here. It's it's something that's very special to me, and I'm very honored to be a part of it.
Doug, I've noticed after watching you in several of your starts this year for your new club that you really throw over the top and you really create an angle with the tall frame that you have in your body. Is that something you've always done, tried to create that downward angle?
I think that just kind of came naturally. It was something that pitching coaches early on just kind of focused and said, act like you're throwing from shortstop, and that's kind of the arm angle we want to keep you at, and it just kind of evolved from there. And obviously with the height, it definitely helped to stay tall and create that angle. Having a lack of velocity as a young kid, really had to focus on location, and that just kind of helped the game along.
Doug, you're 6-1 now with your new ball club, the Tigers. There has been apparently no adjustment period for you at all. Talk about what it's like to be traded at the deadline and join a pennant race, and how much pressure can be put on you.
I wasn't real sure. It was obviously my first time being traded, and it's definitely been a world of emotions from the beginning. But these guys in here, they've made it easy. They've made it a tremendous transition from one clubhouse to the other, and really have opened their arms and accepted us, with as much love and appreciation as I can ask for.
Austin Jackson, the batter here with 2 outs. Tigers trailing the Athletics here today. A's got a couple of runs in the second. We're chatting with Doug Fister, who pitched the Tigers to the Central Division Championship last night. Doug has got one eye on the camera, one eye on the baseball to make sure he doesn't get drilled, and we appreciate that. Make sure that doesn't happen, Doug. But
all right.
There's a walk to Austin Jackson.
Doug, I've heard that you've kind of picked the brain of Justin Verlander since putting on a Tigers uniform. Obviously, you get a chance to watch him. You get a chance to talk to him. Talk about his season first and foremost, and what have you learned from him?
Number one, it's an honor to be number one, a part of his team and be a teammate of his. But to pick his brain and have that opportunity to learn some of the things that he's doing. I mean, he's having a tremendous year. And, it starts with his preparation, his work in the weight room, his work in the clubhouse, being a teammate. And it's just, his level of focus is there. He studies the hitters, he studies himself, and knows exactly what he wants to do with each guy. And just a matter of executing for him. And, he comes out and really does that every pitch. He doesn't think about anything too far ahead. And, really takes care of the task at hand at that moment.
Ordonez's ground ball is booted by Pennington, his 22nd error of the year, and that keeps the inning going here for Detroit.
Well, that's something that Pennington has committed quite a few of this year, and that's miscues at that shortstop position above 20. But there are a lot of shortstops that get off to slow starts young in their careers.
So the Tigers have 2 aboard now with 2 outs. Chatting with Doug Fister of the Tigers, who picked up the win last night. And Doug, one of the things we always notice when you pitch is the time of the game is usually in the 2.5 mark. I mean, it's really quick. That's something that's been part of the way you've gone about your business. How come you've always worked so quickly?
Being fortunate enough to play a position back through college, it was just kind of a second nature that, I kind of felt like when you had a good tempo and the pitcher on the mound was going well, it was easier to play defense behind. And so I've always tried to take that mentality to the mound with me. So, if I can do anything that could help the defense behind me, I'd be foolish not to do it. So obviously I want to keep the tempo going. I want to keep pitching, and this offense here is tremendous, and they've been known for hitting, so I might as well get them back in here as quick as possible.
Doug, we appreciate the visit. Good luck in the playoffs. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Doug Fister and his thoughts. The Tigers trailing the Athletics today 2-0 A's. Bottom of the third inning is underway here in Oakland. The Athletics over the Tigers here today. 2-0 is our score. The A's got a pair in the second, and now they send Josh Willingham to the plate here in the third. He'll be followed in this inning by David DeJesus and Cliff Pennington. Porcello giving up RBI singles to Coco Crisp and Scott Sizemore in the second. And a ground ball back up the middle gets through. Base hit for Josh Willingham. On base for the second time in this game. And the Athletics now have 4 hits.
And Porcello has been missing with his location here so far. They wanted the ball inside, and he missed up in the strike zone, and that's when the big boys do a little damage against you, and Willingham would fall into that category.
We'll bring up DeJesus, who bounced out his first time up. And he shoots one to the left side of the infield and through. 2 on, nobody out for the Athletics. Well, next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the race for the postseason heads into the stretch run, as most of you will see the biggest rivalry in the game. The Red Sox head to New York to battle the American League East leading Yankees in a possible ALCS preview or games with postseason implications. Next week's telecast of Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Chevrolet, begins at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Check your local listings for the game and start time in your area. Here's Cliff Pennington. He shows bunt, takes it up high, 1-0.
It's a good move by Bob Melvin. If he does keep the bunt on, Pennington has the ability to do that. 8 sacrifice bunts this year for Pennington, which leads their club. And the fact that Porcello throws a lot of ground balls. He wants to stay out of the double play.
Bunted. Porcello lets it go to Brandon in. And safe at first base. Pennington is able to beat it out. Here comes Jim Leland to argue it.
Don't know exactly what happened, but there was pretty good communication between Inge and Porcello. Porcello peels out of the way. Danny Werf standing on the bag. Ball in the glove, pulls the foot off, but called safe by Mike DeMuro, who is the first base umpire today.
And Jim Leland's argument is a short one with Mike DeMuro.
That is usually an argument that you're just not going to win. So you go out there, you ask the question, why was he safe? And then you just simply have to have to accept the explanation.
Well, what it does is potentially open up a big inning for the Athletics as Brandon Allen steps in with the bases full. 58 pitches for Porcello in his first 2 innings were pretty heavy. Allen had a single, scored a run in the second. Foul tip at home plate, 0-1.
That's where you want to pitch Allen. You want to stay above the belt buckle against him, and you want to crowd him with good fastballs inside. He's got really good power. If you allow power hitters to extend their arms, that's when they can hurt you. Good low ball hitter.
He's fouled off. Allen had a streak of 0 for 22 that he snapped on Tuesday, but Bob Melvin said, you know, there's no reason to pull him out of the lineup because then they get the idea that they start to doubt themselves. So he hung with him, and they feel that he can play at this level, and he hung through a tough stretch.
And Bob Melvin also feels like by treating him in that fashion, it's going to make him a much better player as he progresses in the major leagues.
Benching him at that point would have added to his doubts, so Melvin stuck with him. The 0-2 is outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Brandon Allen. This is an A's team that offensively has not gotten the job done pretty much in the second half or the first. In fact, they hit just .233 in the first half this year, and have relied on their pitching to keep them into games. It bounces in. Santos with a nice block.
And Santos does not get a chance to play all that often because Avila catches every single day. But when he has gotten an opportunity, he has handled the pitchers adequately.
And the 2-2. High fly ball. Left field. Rayburn has a good arm. He's coming in. Willingham tags. They will hold him up. And Rayburn fires a bullet to home plate.
As soon as that ball went up into shallow left field, the third base runner, Willingham, took a peek at Mike Gallego, the third base coach, and was asking him, should I go or should I stay? And Gallego wisely held him up.
Now batting, the catcher.
Rayburn, one of the stronger arms in the Tigers outfield. And so the bases remain loaded. Here is Kurt Suzuki. Walked and scored a run back in the second. And Porcello gets himself out of this jam with a ground ball here. If he can get one from Suzuki. Rolled foul, 0-1.
Suzuki takes a really big swing from the right side of the batter's box. Therefore, he is prone to hitting double plays. He leads their club in that category. He has grounded into 14.
But so far in this game, Porcello has picked up just one ground ball out, which in some ways goes against the grain and how he gets it done. There's another ball hit in the air. That's into right center field. Jackson squaring up on it. Willingham tagging. They're going to send him this time, and the throw will come back in the middle of the infield. It's a sac fly for Suzuki and an RBI. The Athletics get another one, 3-0.
And one of the reasons why Porcello hasn't gotten many ground balls today is the fact that everything that he's thrown has pretty much been up in the strike zone.
Third baseman, number 29, Scott Sizemore.
2 outs with men at the corners for Scott Sizemore. Singled in a run in the second. And he shoots one on the ground to the shortstop. They will get the force at second base to end the inning. A's add to their lead. 3 in the books. 3-0. Sponsored by AT&T. Get it faster with 4G. Rethink possible. By Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And by Warner Brothers Pictures, Contagion, now playing in theaters everywhere. Back here in Oakland, the Tigers and Athletics from the Bay Area. On a gorgeous afternoon here, the Athletics have a 3-0 lead as we go to the 4th inning. Miguel Cabrera will lead it off for Detroit. Gio Gonzalez, 3 scoreless innings so far. Cabrera is 0 for 1. Hit a ball hard to right field, which resulted in a double play back in the 1st inning. Ball inside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
You could bet that Miguel Cabrera is not going to take a break. He's going to play every single day down the stretch. He has a legitimate chance of winning a batting title in the American League this year to go along with all the other gaudy numbers that he has put up.
Yeah, it really is impressive to see where Cabrera has ended now and how he's finishing up. He came in 2nd behind Adrian Gonzalez of Boston in batting average, just 2 percentage points behind him coming into play today.
And you're talking about a couple of guys in Gonzalez and also Cabrera that don't get a lot of infield singles.
3 balls, 1 strike.
And they pretty much started their careers together as youngsters in the Florida Marlins organization.
And a walk. So Gonzalez puts him aboard. Well, a couple of minutes ago, we caught up with Bob Melvin, the manager of the Oakland Athletics, and I asked him, with 2 weeks to go in this season, is he using this time to evaluate his club for 2012?
Well, you know, we're still trying to win games, and you know, we play Texas, we play the Angels, we play playoff club and these guys, so we're trying to find the right balance of using some of our younger guys and running our veterans out there.
Bob, so far, how has Gio Gonzalez looked to you today against the Tigers team that he really has not had a whole lot of success against in his young career?
No, he looks good. A little plus and minus with his fastball, throwing his curveball for a strike, keeping him off balance. That's what he does when he pitches well.
Thoughts of Bob Melvin, the skipper of the Oakland Athletics. And his A's team right now is leading it by a score of 3-0. Victor Martinez, the batter, after the leadoff walk to Cabrera. And that is into right field, a base hit. So Martinez aboard, and the Tigers now have runners at 1st and 2nd.
And Bob Melvin pretty much inherited the entire coaching staff that he has right now. But what he did do is he added Phil Garner to his staff as the interim, as a advisor, special advisor. And I was talking to Bob before the game today. He said when Phil Garner was the manager in Milwaukee, he brought him in as the bench coach. He also was able to orchestrate spring training and handle all that. And Phil Garner was the first one that told Bob, you have a chance to be a really good manager. And they really have a good relationship because of that.
Well, they were teammates in San Francisco, Melvin and Garner. And Garner's career began here in Oakland as a player. Here is Johnny Peralta. Ball 1. And I guess, regardless of how much experience you have as a major league manager, and Melvin has quite a bit, it's always good to have that guy that you can trust standing next to you.
Well, no doubt that Phil Garner's probably watching a lot of the action on a day-to-day basis, and I'm probably sure that he helps out Billy Beane, the vice president and general manager, and Bob Melvin, helping them evaluate talent as they move forward.
Shattered bat. Sizemore tags the bag for 1. And a nice scoop at first base by Allen for the double play.
It's a nice play by Sizemore going to his right. He simply goes over and touches the bag and knows that he just needs to make a firm throw across the diamond to complete the double play. Peralta doesn't run all that fast.
15, Brandon Inge.
Nice scoop as well by Allen on the other end.
And they say he's got some pretty soft hands over at first base.
And we saw them right there. Here's Brandon Inge. Ball 1 to Inge.
Bob Melvin a few years ago also, when he was managing the Arizona Diamondbacks, he brought Kirk Gibson over as the bench coach, and now Kirk Gibson is the manager of that Arizona Diamondbacks team, and looks like they're going to the postseason.
Well, it sure does. And perhaps the manager of the year in the National League as well. 2-0 the count. Melvin, a former Detroit Tiger, as a matter of fact, first round pick of the Tigers way back in 1981.
his third managerial stint. He managed in Seattle and then on into Arizona and now here in Oakland.
Shallow right field, but it's going to be caught by De Jesus, and that will end the inning. Tigers threaten, do not score. We go to the bottom of the fourth here in Oakland. We're at the Coliseum in Oakland as we go to the bottom of the fourth inning. And Jemile Weeks leads it off and shoots a base hit into left center field. Jackson cuts it off, holding Weeks to a leadoff single.
Pretty good aggressive swing here by Weeks. It's a fastball up, and he simply has really good concentration, laces it the opposite way. It's a double with most center fielders, but look at Jackson. He gets over there, he surrounds it, and gets the ball back in a hurry, and he takes any thought away from Weeks trying to stretch that single into a double.
The Athletics today have been relentless offensively. 7 hits already for Oakland, and now Coco Crisp singled in a run, stole a base back in the second. Rolls that one foul, 0-1.
Bob Melvin was talking about Coco Crisp being the perfect #2 hitter. He's a switch hitter. He's smart. And on that first swing from Porcello, you could see that he was trying to hit the ball between first and second. And that big hole is created by Cabrera having to hold the base runner on. And a lot of left-handed batters that bat second, they will simply use that to their advantage. That hole right there. Nothing like having a left-hander that's not afraid to take the ball inside and get a pitch that he can drive into that area. And, of course, that would get Weeks all the way to third.
The 0-1. Missed it inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Coco Crisp came in 4 for 9 against Porcello. He has another hit and an RBI against him today. He's had a really good month of September. 345. And that's fouled straight back. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, you can take live MLB games with you when you download the At Bat app at the App Store. Rick Porcello out of Morristown, New Jersey. Won 14 games as a 20-year-old back in 2009 with Detroit, his rookie campaign. And there is strike three. Chris knew it, and he marches back to the bench.
It's one of the things that the new pitching coach Jeff Jones has encouraged Porcello into doing since Jones took over.
Now batting.
Is to try to use that good fastball inside against some of the left-handers and move it around. And that was a really good indication of him taking the advice of Jeff Jones.
That'll bring up Matsui. 0 for 2 today, reaching on an air his first at bat. Strike one. $12 home runs, 71 driven in this year for Matsui.
And Jamal Weeks, standing on first base, has stolen 21 bases this year, which leads all rookies in the American League.
Little pop-up foul, third base side. 0-2 on Matsui.
Check that. The 21 steals are second for rookies in the American League. Been caught 10 times. Now that percentage will get better as he learns some of the American League pitchers, learns when to run, not to run. It's all part of the learning curve.
Talking about all the home runs that Matsui has hit in his career, a good portion of them coming in Japan. But earlier this year, in the month of July, hit his 500th professional home run. 332 of those in Japan. Rolls this one to short. Peralta to second one. Worth with a relay, and that is a double play. 6-4-3 ends the inning. 4 in the books here at the Coliseum. The Athletics lead 3-0. As we mosey on to the top of the fifth inning, Athletics over the Tigers today. 3-0 is our score, and the Tigers here in the fifth will have Worth, Santos, and Jackson facing Gio Gonzalez. 4 scoreless so far for the talented lefty of the Athletics. Danny Worth 0 for 1 with a fly ball back in the third.
And Gonzalez is pitching a lot more effectively today than he has prior in his starts against Detroit. They saw him earlier this year, and he walked 6 batters in a game against the Tigers.
He's walked a couple in this game, but has sidestepped some trouble. A couple of double plays hit into today by the Tigers.
Good fastball, good moving fastball, anywhere from 91 to 94 miles an hour. His signature pitch is that knee buckling breaking ball. It's tough on left-handers and right-handers. There it was.
Gio is 25 years old. In fact, he will celebrate a birthday on Monday, his 26th.
Trying to get him to throw more changeups.
Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss, and Worth goes down swinging. One gone. Time now for a DirecTV game break. We go back to Fenway Park in Boston. Bottom of the third, 3-0 Tampa. Mike Avalos, though, doubles off the wall and left off Jeff Neiman. Carl Crawford comes around to score. And it's a 3-1 lead for Tampa. Now 3-2 as the Red Sox have added another in the bottom of the fourth. And that, of course, is a huge game for both teams as Tampa continues to chase for the wild card. Omer Santos, the batter. Tipped into the glove. 1 ball and 1 strike. Santos, a bounce out back in the third. We're talking about this at the top of the telecast here, Rob, but the Tigers certainly still have something to play for, because even though they have clinched the Central Division, they've got the best record within the American League in their sights. There's a wave and a miss.
That would be huge to play the majority of your games at home, should you get in front of your home crowd. And that's simply the message Jim had for his team last night when they were celebrating. Enjoy yourselves tonight, but be ready to play tomorrow. We still have a lot of unfinished business.
Tigers right now with 88 wins, 88 and 63 coming in. Right back up the middle into center field. A base hit for Santos.
Tigers also have quite a few guys that might be getting some hardware at the end of the season. So guys like Justin Verlander, he's going to continue to take the ball. Cabrera is going to continue to play every single day, and both of those guys are in that MVP conversation. Verlander with an outstanding 23-5 record. Granderson hit his 40th home run today. Gonzalez has been tremendous in Boston. We've talked about Cabrera and Bautista. You can't go to sleep on him. He's hit 42 out of the yard.
The debate has been raging this year on whether or not a pitcher should win the MVP. And a lot feel that Cy Young Award is what pitchers should be gunning for. The MVP should be for a player that goes out and plays every day.
But when you have a season like Justin Verlander has had this year, that's how you get in the conversation. And there are a lot of experts out there that I have talked to that would be voting for Verlander if the season was to end today. But you cannot discount what Cabrera has done this year. He's kind of gotten himself in the conversation the last couple of months, really.
Now Cabrera should finish with over 100 RBIs. He has walked over 100 times. There's a strike call.
Jacoby Ellsbury of the Boston Red Sox also having a career year. Pedroia, the second baseman, has been really good. Robinson Cano wasn't on that list. There's a lot of guys this year that are having really good offensive years, and that might cost Verlander in the end.
Here's the 1-2. You know, I've been thinking, and I'm wondering if there has been a season where it's been so deep with as many guys that have had great offensive seasons as this year.
Well, you think back to last year, it was pretty much Josh Hamilton and Cabrera. Hamilton, of course, won the award. Cabrera finished second. This year, there are a number of guys that could get that.
It's a ground ball to short. This could be 2. Weeks' relay is in time, and that's another double play for Gio Gonzalez. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th in Oakland. Sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball across the country. Back here in the Bay Area, a familiar scene, the streetcars. 3-0 Oakland as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning at the Coliseum in Oakland. And Rick Porcello back at the hill facing Josh Willingham. He will lead it off. It'll be Willingham, DeJesus, and Pennington facing Rick Porcello. Willingham in this ballgame, a single and a walk. He has also scored a run. The Athletics got 2 in the second, 1 in the third, and they have not given up a run. Gio Gonzalez has looked good today for Oakland. Willingham did not go. 1 ball and 1 strike. That's off the end of the bat. It's a fair ball. Sprawling stop by Cabrera. Porcello covers for the out. 1 away. Well, the Roberto Clemente Award is about dedication on and off the field. Justin Verlander and Josh Willingham are 2 of 30 Major League nominees for this year's award. Go to ChevyBaseball.com/Clemente and vote for the player that inspires you, and you could win a trip to the World Series. And both of these gentlemen, Verlander and Willingham, do tremendous things for their respective communities. There's Willingham, the nominee for the Athletics. I know Justin Verlander has done a lot in the Detroit area as well for veterans. There's a strike called on David DeJesus.
On days when Verlander pitches, he allows veterans and their families to hang out in his suite. And one of the things that he said about that is a lot of times the veterans get a lot of the attention, but their families go unnoticed. So he wanted to do something for the families. So he simply allows them to bring their families in his suite on days that he pitches.
Great gesture. David DeJesus, a single and a ground out in this game. And Porcello makes him move his feet. 2 balls, 1 strike.
And Tigers have the kind of offense, and they also have the kind of confidence that they can come back in this game. And for the better part of a couple of weeks now, it really hasn't mattered whether they've fallen behind or not. They have simply come back in a lot of games.
Drilled foul down the right field line. That'll scatter him in the Tigers bullpen. Two and 2 on David DeJesus.
Well, Jim Leyland's going to have some decisions to make shortly. Once the Tigers go to the postseason, you know Verlander and Pfister and Scherzer will probably be the front 3 in the rotation. But beyond that, who knows what he will do. You have Porcello, you have Penny. Both guys have never pitched out of the bullpen. So it would be unlikely that they would put him in the bullpen in the postseason.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. How many of those decisions do you think Leyland has made at this point, and how many do you think he's waiting for the final 2 weeks to play out to make?
I think several decisions have already been made, and Jim alluded to that fact yesterday. He's just not ready to share what he and his staff are thinking right now. They're simply trying to finish the season strong, and they're trying to hold on to the best record and host the first round of the playoffs. And if they continue to play well, they might be able to host home field advantage for the entire playoffs.
Well, tomorrow start your NFL Sunday with Fox NFL Sunday pregame show as Michael Strahan sits down for a one-on-one interview with Bears linebacker Brian Urlacher. Plus, Jimmy Johnson will break down Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo's ability to make decisions in the clutch. It's on the Fox NFL Sunday pregame show tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, only on Fox. Cliff Pennington will stand in, and he fouls it back. Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword, though, isn't it? I mean, you have a couple of weeks to kind of set things up, set your rotation, but you still want to make sure that your club heading into the playoffs is razor sharp.
I know Bob Melvin was in a joking mood a couple of days ago when I caught up with him, and he was hoping that Jim would not pitch Verlander tomorrow. He says, well, if they clinch, why don't you tell Jim not to pitch Verlander on Sunday?
Yeah, good luck. 0-2 on Pennington. Verlander has a chance to win 25 games this year, scheduled to pitch in the finale as mentioned here tomorrow.
Tigers have a very strong bullpen. It's one of the major reasons why they've been able to take over the Central down the stretch. The back end with Valverde and also Joaquin Benoit. Phil Coke, that was a brilliant move they made earlier in the year when they took him out of the starting rotation where he struggled there. They put him back at the back end of the bullpen. They now have a quality left-hander late in the game to go along with Daniel Slater, Ryan Perry, Al Albuquerque. All those guys have mid-95 mile-per-hour fastballs.
Well, the Tigers have ridden that bullpen to an extent to a really good record in the month of September, 13-2 to put the Central Division away. The 0-2 checked it. Did he go? Yes, he did. Eric Cooper rings him up. Pennington didn't like it. He's out.
Good call, and Pennington clearly went too far.
First baseman, 31, Brandon Allen.
Here's Brandon Allen. Singled, scored a run back in the second. Runner goes. Santos throw down to second. Tag is in time for the out. Amir Santos cuts down David DeJesus. And DeJesus doesn't believe it. He is called out by Andy Fletcher on a bang-bang play at second. And we are through 5. Award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers. And by Michelin, a better way forward. We're not short of scenery here in the Bay Area, that is for certain. Right now, the Athletics are leading it over the Tigers, 3-0 as we go to the top of the 6th inning. And for the Tigers, Maglio Ordonez leads it off, followed by Ryan Rayburn and Miguel Cabrera. Gio Gonzalez has done a fine job, especially at getting the double plays in this game. He's had 3 turned behind him. Ordonez takes the ball low. A couple of base hits for Ordonez. There's a strike call. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Back up the middle, make it 3 for 3 for Ordonez. Luis Gonzalez pitches well in this one here today. We've talked about the fact that their strength has been pitching, but Rob, they've also had to overcome some pitcher injuries this year, a few of them very notable.
Well, Braden and Anderson, and a couple of key cogs to that starting rotation, one with the shoulder surgery, the other with Tommy John surgery. Andrew Bailey, their closer, has missed some time. And Brandon McCarthy pitched a couple of nights ago against the Tigers and looked very good, but he also has spent some time on the DL along with Rich Harden.
Here's Ryan Rayburn. He drops down a bunt and a beauty. Sizemore will barehand. And it's scooped at first, not in time. Rayburn beats it out.
Nice execution on both sides. A really good bunt by Ryan Rayburn. He catches Sizemore sleeping at third base. Sizemore playing deep. But Sizemore comes in do or die fashion and makes a very nice play. He grabs the ball in the palm of his hand. He transfers to the fingertips and flips it across the diamond. And had he not bounced it, they may have gotten the out.
And the Tigers set up nicely now. They've got the meat of their lineup coming up, trailing 3-0.
Sizemore is probably a better second baseman than he is a third baseman, but he's not going to get a chance to play second base with Weeks being at that position.
Ball one to Cabrera.
And now the Oakland Athletics are in a situation where they have to pitch to the best hitter in the American League with runners in scoring position.
Swing and a miss. Well, defense for the Athletics has not been a strong suit this year. They committed 120 errors, and Bob Melvin has said that going into spring training next year, that is going to be one of the top missions to address that deficiency.
They also have to do a little bit better job of holding runners on first base when they do get there. They do not give the catcher time to throw it all.
Two and one. Cabrera is 0 for 1. He has walked. He has walked 6 times in this series. There's a line drive to right field. DeJesus on the move. Sliding play out there in right. David DeJesus with a terrific play. And Cabrera's retired.
Cabrera's hit a couple of balls really hard to right field. Something I've noticed Cabrera doing here today, and he started at the beginning of the game. Usually with 2 strikes, he doesn't pick that foot up. But today against Gonzalez in all 3 plate appearances, just going to the toe, pulling the toe up on top, and then simply driving the ball the other way. You see most players that do that after they have 2 strikes on them, but Cabrera has been doing that every single pitch of the afternoon against Gonzalez.
That's going to bring up Victor Martinez. He is 1 for 2. Martinez had a single in the 4th. Ball inside.
The Tigers knew they were getting a really good player when they signed Victor Martinez to a 4-year contract in the offseason, but they didn't know they were getting the intangibles, the clubhouse leader, and some of the other things that he brings to the ballpark every single day.
Well, Jim Leyland has said over and over that he does not believe in the word chemistry, but he acquiesced a little bit when he started talking about Victor Martinez and how he has really kind of brought the clubhouse together. He's been a terrific leader, not a very loud guy in terms of how he deals with the media, not very outspoken, but among his teammates, he's a very good leader. And he's not afraid to voice his opinion. Well, Leyland right now just has a really good mix.
At the beginning of spring training, he recommended to the young catcher Alex Avila that he go to a little bit heavier bat. A 33-ounce bat. That's what Victor uses.
In the shallow right field, that's going to drop. Base hit. Ordonez coming to third. He'll stop there. And Martinez has a bloop single.
Victor Martinez noticed a few years ago when he was playing against the Chicago White Sox and Jermaine Dye was doing a lot of damage for the White Sox, and how loud the ball sounded coming off of his bat, he asked him, what size bat do you use? And Dye said, I use a 33 ounce bat, which is kind of heavy by big league standards. Martinez went to that bat, had a really good year. And he advised Avila at the beginning of this year in spring training that with your hands and your hand quickness and the way that you stand back and you have good balance, you could use a heavier bat. And look up, and Alex Avila's had the best year of his career.
Yeah, the results have been striking, really.
He also told Valverde in spring training to throw more two-seam fastballs, and look at the year Valverde has had.
He's doing it all this year.
Good leader.
Johnny Peralta, the batter now, and the bases loaded for Detroit. Knocked into a double play back in the fourth. Gonzalez would love another one here. Peralta is 0 for 2. 359 career with the bases loaded. There's a strike called, and quickly 0-2.
That's the pitch that Gonzalez will go to for the most part when he's backed into a corner. That breaking ball. It's a legitimate swing and miss pitch.
Gonzalez has thrown 80 pitches to this point. And he missed high. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Peralta came in this year as a lifetime 263 hitter. He's batting over 300 this year. So in some ways, it has been the best year of his career. He has had seasons with more home runs and more RBIs, but not nearly as consistent this year.
Johnny Peralta will tell you that the best thing that was done for him in his career was when the Cleveland Indians told him a couple of years ago that he had outgrown the shortstop position. He took it personal, but in a good way. Got himself into terrific shape. Played some third base for the Tigers last year. Then he moved to shortstop, and they thought so much of him at shortstop, they inked him to a 2-year deal to play that position.
High fly ball, left field, hit well. Willingham going back, stumbling, and holds on to the baseball. Ordonez will tag and score.
He was stumbling, and he also looked like he was starting to lose that ball in the sun, but yet made the play. He did everything that he could do just to stay on his feet.
Battling the elements as well. That'll get the Tigers on the board. 3-1 ball game. Peralta gets his 81st RBI. And now Brandon Inge. 0 for 2. He's hit the ball the other way twice, both to right field. Swing and a miss. Inge now the longest tenured Tiger, has 3rd in the all-time Tigers list for games played among their third basemen. We talked about the struggles he's had this year offensively. Going down to AAA, coming back up with the rosters expanding in September. And now when you look toward the future in the postseason, he certainly provides a valuable glove. Here's the 0-2. High, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And that last pitch by Gonzalez, the fastball up in the strike zone, is just to set up this next pitch. More than likely it's going to be his breaking ball. That's the one pitch that he feels the most comfort in, especially when there's runners in scoring position.
Lifted in the air to center field. Chris battling the sun to end the inning. Tigers get a run. They strand 2, and we go to the bottom of the 6th. The Athletics over the Tigers 3-1, and Brandon Allen leads it off. He'll be followed by Suzuki and Sizemore, 7, 8, 9 hitters.
I went into their clubhouse before the game, and I introduced myself to Brandon Allen. And he told me that he played with my son, Rod Jr., when they were in the White Sox organization. And then I simply told him, I said, every time you do something, I get lots of calls, lots of text messages, a lot of people asking me, are you my son? And he says, that's funny because people ask me, are you my father? Funny.
You guys just both say yes. Out of Conroe, Texas.
He's a big boy, 6'2", 235, with a lot of sock in that bat. And once he learns how to use that top hand a little bit more efficiently and take a better path with the bat, he's going to do a lot of damage up here.
Swing and a miss. One away here in the sixth. Well, last night the Tigers clinched the Central Division with a championship. The last out was a ground ball by Josh Willingham to Brandon Inge. And after that out was recorded, here they come. The celebration ensued, and in the locker room afterwards, as it normally is, it got quite messy.
We're going to let him go so he can get.
That's the burn.
It does indeed. But a good time was had by all last night, as they say, for the Tigers. They celebrate their first playoff appearance since 2006 when they marched to the World Series.
And they tore up that visiting clubhouse last night. Had a lot of fun.
You couldn't even tell it, though, by walking into it today.
You could smell it, though.
Here is Suzuki. Look out. He hits the deck. Porcello came up and in. And Suzuki got out of the way. I don't know how.
Well, he did it the right way. I mean, when a ball comes up and in at you, that's how you have to turn your body. You have to tuck that left shoulder and make sure if that ball does hit you, it hits you in your back. And if it happens to hit you in the head, it does hit you in the helmet. He did it the right way. I was talking to Bob Melvin today about Suzuki. He's had some issues this year behind the plate. He's normally a really good defender, a guy that can really throw the ball down to second base, but he's had some issues this year throwing the baseball.
Bouncing ball, third base side. Brandon Inge has it.
But Bob Melvin got creative with Suzuki this year in trying to get him to be a little bit more efficient with his throws down to second base. He took him to the shortstop position in second base, a couple of positions where you have to keep your shoulder tucked when turning double plays. And he says that's kind of helped him. You know, sometimes the creativity with different players can help them kind of get through some of their issues. And Bob feels like because of taking him to the shortstop position, working on that shoulder, his throwing's gotten a little better.
Here is Sizemore with 2 outs. And a check swing roller toward first base. Porcello will cover, and the inning is over. It's a 1-2-3 frame for Porcello. We'll return to Oakland after a word from your local Fox station. by Chevrolet. It's 3-1 in favor of the Athletics as we go to the top of the 7th here at the Coliseum. And Gio Gonzalez will face Danny Wirth, Omir Santos, and Austin Jackson. Wirth is 0 for 2 today, strikeout and a flyout. Gonzalez had 86 pitches through 6 innings, and he delivers a strike in the outer edge, 1-1. Gonzalez giving up a run in the 6th. That's it on a sac fly by Johnny Peralta. Tipped into the glove.
Got some late life on that fastball at 92 miles an hour.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Wirth, who gets the start today at second base. A very versatile performer. I guess the word on Danny Wirth is, according to Jim Leland, that if he hits enough at the big league level, he can be more than a utility player. The 2-2 pitch, and that is rolled foul.
He's got soft hands, that's for sure.
There is activity in the bullpen for the Athletics. Brian Fuentes, the lefty, and Faustino de los Santos, the righty. And the 2-2 in the air, right field. De Jesus camping under it. One gone. Well, this October, the American League's best teams will look to the brightest stars to see which one will become the newest hero that leads them into the Fall Classic. Legends are born in October, and our exclusive coverage of the ALCS begins October 8th only on Fox. And we anticipate another postseason to remember this year. Here is Omir Santos.
Only 8 get in. And Tigers were able to punch their ticket last night.
The 1-0. Swing and a miss. And there is talk that in the future more than 8 will get in, expanding the playoffs. Your thoughts on that?
The more the merrier. I would welcome that.
Here's the 1-1. Jim Leland is pretty succinct in his opinion on that. He says what's good for baseball is good for me. And that seems to be the truth. But there's no question adding some teams will certainly give some cities more hope for a playoff team. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Santos is out of there. 2 gone. Well, if the playoffs started today, what would it look like? It would look like this in the American League. Tigers would be facing the Boston Red Sox, and Texas would take on the Yankees.
And the Tigers would be hosting the Boston Red Sox.
Boston winning the season series against Detroit 5-1. Now that Texas team can surely hit the Yankees. Getting it all done these days. They beat Toronto this afternoon 7-6. Tigers trying to chase down the Yankees for the best record in the AL. Jackson looks at a strike. 1-1. Toward right field, slicing away from De Jesus.
Austin Jackson took a step back this year as far as the offensive numbers are concerned, but that's the only area. Defensively, one of the best center fielders in the game, covers a lot of ground. They would love to see him cut down on his strikeouts, but that comes with maturity. There's nothing you can really change about that.
Well, he needs 1 home run to reach double figures in doubles, triples, homers, and steals. 9 homers this year. He leads the American League with 11 triples. Strike called on the outer edge. He is punched out of there, and Gio Gonzalez has a 1-2-3 7th inning with a couple of strikeouts in this frame. And we go to the stretch here at the Coliseum. Sponsored by the new 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Warner Brothers Pictures' Dolphin Tale in theaters September the 23rd. Back here in Oakland, the Athletics behind Gio Gonzalez leading the Detroit Tigers as we go to the bottom of the 7th. 3-1 is our score. Rick Porcello back to work facing Jemile Weeks, then Coco Crisp and Hideki Matsui. Jemile Weeks in this game, a single and 3 at-bats. Was hitting .321 at their AAA team in Sacramento prior to his call-up in early June.
He's played more baseball this year than he ever has as a pro. And the most games he played in the minor leagues was 80 because of assortment of different injuries.
There's a base hit.
He didn't play in the opening game of this series, and he batted second in last night's game. Coco Crisp, who's batting second tonight, was a leadoff hitter. Bob Melvin said that Weeks had some cramps when they were in Texas, and he wanted to make sure that they didn't turn into a hamstring pull. So he gave him 1 day off, then put him in that second slot, but he's good to go now, and that's why he's leading off again.
Well, in the Tigers bullpen right now, Daniel Schlereth is the left-hander. Ryan Perry is the right-hander. 8th hit of the game for the Athletics. Each side now with 8 hits, and a strike is called on Crisp. Coco's had a nice series here against the Tigers. He has singled in a run in this game. 5 hits in the series. Crisp has that interesting way of burying his chin in that front shoulder. And I'm trying to think if anybody else does that. I think Coco's the only guy.
He's the only guy that I could think of that does it. And the reason that Coco does it, it helps him get both eyes focused on the pitcher in an upright fashion. And that head is pointed directly toward Porcello. Might not be a bad time for a pitch out if you're Jim Leland. It looks like Weeks is entertaining the thought of trying to steal second base.
Popped up. Back toward the seats. Inge on the run. He'll get there. Right in front of the target. 1 away. Well, this November, Fox Sports steps into the octagon with an epic heavyweight title fight as the #1 ranked contender in the world. Junior Dos Santos squares off with undefeated world champion Cain Velasquez in the must-see mixed martial arts event you can only catch on Fox. Dos Santos versus Velasquez for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the World, live Saturday, November 12th on Fox. Here's Hideki Matsui. Matsui hit into a double play his last time up. Porcello has crossed the century mark with 103 pitches to this point. Weeks a leadoff single at first, draws a throw. Porcello was the Tigers' first-round pick in '07, the 27th overall pick that year. David Price went #1 overall to Tampa Bay. Runner goes in the air toward right center. Ordonez cruising over, and Weeks will scamper back.
One of the things that you have to do every now and then when you're taking off is you have to take a look in to see if the ball was made contact with. Weeks did not do that. Therefore, the ball's in center field. He had no idea where it was. He had to look at his third base coach, Mike Gallego, who pointed to center field, and that aided in him getting back to first base. But after you take the first 3 or 4 steps as a base runner, take a peek in to see if the ball has been put in play.
2 outs now for Willingham. Strike 1 on Josh. Walking a single in this game, plus a run scored. Athletics jumped out to a 2-0 lead with a pair in the second and then one more in the third. Here's the 0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike on Willingham. This is his 4th season now with 20 or more home runs. 27 is a career high this year. And really maybe one of the quietest big seasons that anyone has had in the big leagues. He shoots one back up the middle into center. 2 on and 2 outs. Well, visit Lowe's to pick up your instant win game card for a chance to win World Series tickets, compliments of Scott's. Jim Leland marching out to the mound. That may be it for Porcello. David DeJesus is due up. They've had Daniel Schlereth, the lefty, warming up. And he still is, along with Ryan Perry. And Leland perhaps just taking the temperature of Rick Porcello here. And he'll keep him in. So Leland staying with his young right-hander. Meanwhile, the Athletics trying to tack onto their lead here as DeJesus scrolls in with a single and a walk.
Number 12, David DeJesus.
Four hits in the series for DeJesus, 3 RBIs. He is also homered. Ball 1 for Porcello. Well, they didn't have too many ground ball outs early in the game, but Porcello now has 7 compared to 8 fly balls, and he has punched out 4.
And he has started to get the ball down, releasing it out in front, creating that natural sink that Rick usually takes out to the mound every 5th day. You can see the late movement on that last pitch to DeJesus. Even though the ball really wasn't down in the strike zone, take a look at the movement on this pitch.
And all DeJesus could do is fight it off. Porcello has had his issues with David DeJesus. 8 for 19 now for the left-handed batter, a .421 average.
Yeah, but Jim decided to leave him in. He had a message for Porcello. Jim delivered that message to him. He didn't send his pitching coach out there to do it. And so there's no doubt Jim knows what the numbers are that DeJesus has posted against Porcello in his young career. This might be one of those grow-up moments.
Fly ball. Right center field. Jackson is on the run, and he'll cruise back to make the play. Inning over, no runs, a couple of hits for the Athletics.
first inning. Didn't look like Gonzalez was going to be around very long. He twisted his ankle trying to pick Magglio Ordonez off second base, but he quickly righted the ship, and he did it against a team that he had really no prior success against. 4 strikeouts in the game total. We're going to show you 3 of them. A lot of them with the elevated fastball and a really good breaking ball on the backside of the plate there to Austin Jackson to strike him out. Very good afternoon by Gonzalez. 8 hits, just 1 earned run. He walked a couple and struck out 4.
And so Gio gives way now to Grant Belfour, who will pitch out of the bullpen here.
He's got a power arm and 58 strikeouts against 19 walks, and he also elevates the fastball in the mid-90s. Also has a nice breaking ball. He was part of that really outstanding bullpen down in Tampa, Florida last year that Joe Madden had.
They were dynamite at the back end of their pen. Balfour now working here with the Athletics. He is a native of Sydney, Australia. And Magglio Ordonez leads it off for Detroit. 3-1 is our score as we go to the 8th.
Balfour has always been one of those guys that has had a lot of confidence in his fastball. Here it is, hit it.
Fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's been a good day for Ordonez. 3 hits, a run scored. In fact, the only Tigers run of the game came in the 6th inning. Sac fly by Johnny Peralta. That is popped up foul. And back into the seats, a couple of rows deep.
A lot of foul territory here in Oakland, and more than any other ballpark in the majors. As an offensive player, you probably lose about 15 to 20 at bats on a season because of all this foul territory. Pop-ups that usually would be in the seats.
Here's the 1-2, and it missed outside. 2-2. It was Ordonez that got the inning started back in the 6th with a single. They eventually got their run. And Balfour's 2-2 toward right field. De Jesus, long run, can't get there in foul ground. He's had a busy day today out there in right. De Jesus couldn't quite get to that one. Balfour broke in with the Minnesota Twins back in 2001. He missed the 05 season with an injury. He's also pitched in Milwaukee, and as Rod mentioned, Tampa, where last year he had lights out numbers. Bouncing ball to short this time. Pennington has it. 1 away. Time now for a DirecTV game break. We go back to Fenway Park, top of the 5th inning. 3-2 Tampa Bay. 2 on, 2 out. Evan Longoria singles to right field. Josh Reddick has some trouble with it. Brandon Guyer scores, and it's a 4-2 ball game in the bottom of the 6th inning at Fenway Park.
They have split the first 2 games of that 4-game series, and Tampa going into that series pretty much needed to take 3 or 4 from the Boston Red Sox.
Here's Ryan Rayburn. Swing and a miss. The Rays surprising you at all?
Yes, they are. And because we saw that team about 6 weeks ago. And they have real good pitching, but offensively they've been challenged. But some guys have started to step up. B.J. Upton has started to swing the bat very effectively. Longoria, he's picked up the pace. So they're now getting some contributions from some of the big guys on the offensive side. And that's going to help out that real good pitching staff they have.
And if they do find a way to squeak in with the pitching staff they do have, they could become an interesting team.
That's right.
The Red Sox right now just trying to hold on. 1-2 on Rayburn.
That's what they say. Just to get in. Detroit Tigers saw that back in 2006 when they went in as the wild card and they marched all the way to the World Series against the St. Louis Cardinals.
Ball outside. 2-2. First round that year, the Tigers faced the New York Yankees, and Jim Leyland said, hey, look, this is not the varsity against the JV here. We can play a little bit. And they ended up,
right.
yeah, they upset the Yankees. Swing and a miss. Rayburn is out of there. Suzuki throws down to complete the strikeout. 2 gone, and here is what it looks like now in terms of the wild card. Tampa trailing Boston by 4 compared to what it looked like on August 25th. So they've chopped that number in half. Here is Miguel Cabrera. Ball 1 to Cabrera.
And different approach for Miguel against Balfour than he had against Gonzalez, who started the game. And we showed you earlier where he really wasn't picking that left foot up at all, just simply picking the heel off the ground. But he's picking it up again against the right-hander until he gets 2 strikes. If Balfour is able to get 2 strikes on Cabrera, then he'll simply go back to that 2-strike approach. And that's one of the reasons why he is such a dangerous hitter. He's able to make adjustments from pitch to pitch, where it takes other guys at bat to make adjustments. You see the front foot coming up ever so slightly now. Cabrera said he learned all his baseball from his mom, who was a really good softball player in Venezuela.
Hard one hopper hit to second. Weeks with a nice spinning move, and the inning is over. So Balfour comes on to get a 1-2 3/8. Here come the Athletics, leading it 3-1. Get DirecTV's best offer of the year. And by Travelers. Insurance for auto, home, and business. Back here in the Bay Area of Northern California, Phil Koch is on now to pitch for the Detroit Tigers out of their bullpen.
Phil Koch started the season in the rotation for the Detroit Tigers, but he got off to a sluggish start.
First pitch popped up. Shallow center field. Danny Worth, 1 gone.
And the Tigers moved him back to the bullpen, where he pitched last year for them. And in 2009, he pitched out of that Yankees World Championship team bullpen. And he appears to be a lot more comfortable pitching out of that bullpen. The fastball, when he was starting earlier in the year, was only around 91 miles an hour, but he hits 95 out of the pen.
They'll face Brandon Allen. The Tigers also made a change in right field. Ordonez out of the game, and rookie Andy Dirks will take over in right. Allen looks at a strike. Well, do you anticipate or see a time in the future where Koch may return to the starting rotation?
He has the ability to do it. It's just all about a mindset. He's got a good fastball. He's got a breaking ball. He's got a changeup. And he seems to pitch with much more confidence out of the bullpen for whatever reason. If he can somehow find that intensity as a starter, no doubt Phil Koch could pitch in a rotation. The Tigers searched long and hard for that one left-handed starter to go along with the 4 righties that they had, especially against a lot of the teams in the AL Central that had lots of left-handed batters, but they really just hadn't found that guy.
1 ball and 2 strikes, 93 on that last fastball from the left-hander Koch. Brandon Allen, a single fly ball and a strikeout in this game. And he rolls this one foul.
There are some people in the Tigers organization that compared Phil Koch to C.J. Wilson. C.J. Wilson was a very valuable bullpen member to the Texas Rangers. He was a closer. He was a setup man, but they moved him to the starting rotation and he flourished. And a lot of people felt like Phil Koch could do the same thing.
That'll get back out of play. We'll catch all the action of the 2011 MLB postseason on Fox and TBS. It all begins Friday, September the 30th with the Division Series on TBS. Phil Koch replacing Rick Porcello, who threw 110 pitches in this game, goes 7 innings and had a quality start, allowing 3 runs on 9 hits. Gio Gonzalez was outstanding as well today. A little bit better, actually, allowing just 1 run to the Tigers. Here's the 2-2. Fouled away.
And Gio Gonzalez had an earned run average approaching 7 and was 0-3 in his career against Detroit prior to today.
And not only that, his ERA in the second half was approaching 5, so he really turned in a nice effort today. Koch missing away. 3-2. Here's the full count pitch. Allen batting with 1 out here in the 8th. The Athletics have not scored since getting a run in the 3rd. Jumped out to a 3-0 lead this afternoon. RBIs today for the A's for Sizemore, Suzuki, and Crisp. And another foul back out of play.
Pretty nice battle here. Allen against Koch. Koch has thrown some really good pitches with 2 strikes, and Allen has been able to foul them off.
Swing and a miss, and finally Koch is able to finish him off. First strikeout for Koch.
It's a well located breaking ball to finish him off. Not a whole lot that Allen could do with that.
Jim Leyland makes his way out to the mound. He will lift his left-hander. Ryan Perry, the right-hander, will come into the game. So we'll step aside. Pitching change here in Oakland. 3-1 Athletics. Athletics lead it here this afternoon 3-1. Ryan Perry is on a pitch to Kurt Suzuki, and his first pitch is outside. 1-0 on Suzuki. Perry replacing Phil Koch, who retired the first two batters here in the 8th. Foul tipped, and the count is 1-1.
And Ryan Perry, another member out of that Tigers bullpen that has a plus fastball. It'll get up to 97 miles an hour. And pitching in his 32nd game this year, the earned run average at 5.34 for Perry. He's had a couple of different stints down in the minor leagues this year. Former #1 draft choice. They are very high on Ryan Perry.
In his third stint, as you mentioned, down in Toledo, 3-0 with 3.03 ERA. And they're certainly excited about the potential that his arm holds. That missed inside. 3-1.
And there are some in the Tigers organization that feel like Perry will be a closer at some point in time. Has the stuff to do so.
The 3-1. Suzuki will take a walk. 2-out base runner. And that'll keep the inning going now for Scott Sizemore.
Scott Sizemore.
Change of scenery has been good for Scott Sizemore. Opened the season as the Tigers' everyday second baseman a couple of years ago. Sent back down to the minors. For whatever reason, just didn't put it together in Detroit, but getting an opportunity to play in Oakland, he's driven in quite a few runs.
He really has taken well to the Athletics. As you mentioned, was the starting second baseman last season, but was battling an offseason ankle injury that he had, and it kind of lingered into last year. So Sizemore never really got his feet on the ground, so to speak, last season. And the Tigers have tried to fill the void at second base since the departure of Placido Polanco, who was the second baseman on the 06 team that went to the World Series.
And those were awfully tough shoes to fill. And Jim Leland had said on many occasions that Polanco was his favorite player of any player he's ever managed.
He'll shoot that one to left center field. Jackson plays it on one hop. Base hit for Sizemore. His second hit of the game. Well, the producer of today's game is Brady Klima. The director, Mark Isofano. The associate director is Chris Wazalewski. And the associate producer is Jason Disick. Our technical producer is Steve Grigley. The technical director is Simon Vinazra. And the pregame show is produced by Don Bowie. 3-1 A's as they look to add some more here in the 8th. And Jemile Weeks will stand in. Strike one. Weeks a couple of hits today for the Athletics. He'll try and pick up a couple of base runners, Suzuki and Sizemore. They have both reached with 2 outs against Perry. Bouncing ball to first. It's a foul ball. Tigers trying to keep this a 2-run game as we head to the 9th inning. It'll be Martinez, Peralta, and Inge due up.
Cabrera moving like the big cat over at first base, of course. And that nickname, the big cat, was given to Andres Galarraga, also from Venezuela. They're about the same size. Galarraga could really play some first base.
Couldn't he, though? And hit as well. He was a terrific player.
Andre the Giant.
The 0-2 is just off the plate. 1-2 on Weeks. Jemile had singles in the 4th and 7th innings. Koch started the inning, got 2 outs. Perry has come on, has walked a batter and given up a base hit. And there's a base hit to left. That'll get a run in. Suzuki coming around to score. Sizemore slides in safely at third base, and Weeks has made it a 4-1 ball game. That's his third hit today. And a rather large insurance run for the Athletics.
Pretty nice piece of hitting, and taking the little two-seam fastball that's down and away. Really good concentration, not trying to do a whole lot with it, and ends up on second base and drove in a huge run for his club.
Here is Coco Crisp. Coco singled in a run back in the second. Athletics get a 2-out run here to make it 4-1. They have runners at second and third. Ball high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ryan Perry, 24 years of age. Driven foul back out of play. University of Arizona product. Trying to keep it right here at 4-1. Perry didn't pitch a whole lot in the minor leagues before he got his first big league opportunity back in 09. And he missed high and away again. 2-2. Chop foul, and Crisp able to stay alive. He's got 2 in the second, 1 in the third. Did not score until getting another run here. A sizable insurance run here in the 8th inning. Tigers' only run came in the 6th. Inside, almost hit him. 3-2 on Crisp. And Perry has really struggled with his command. He has definitely had issues here. He walked the first man he faced in Suzuki.
Boy, he's forced him to throw a fastball here to Crisp. And Crisp is a good fastball hitter from both sides of the plate.
And the 3-2. Line drive, base hit, left center field. 1 run will score. Here comes Weeks rounding third. They send him home. Throw to the plate is in time, and Weeks is tagged out. Ryan Rayburn guns him down from left field, but another run in gives the Athletics a 5-1 lead. Rayburn, a bullet from left as we go to the 9th. Top of the 9th inning here in Oakland, and the Athletics trying to put this one in the win column. They lead 5-1 as Victor Martinez leads it off for Detroit, and he will face the new pitcher Andrew Bailey.
20 saves for Bailey, and for the 3rd consecutive year he's only blown a couple. He's got a really good fastball in the low 90s, also an outstanding slider, and that's how he gets the majority of his outs.
Martinez pops it up. Sizemore at 3rd. One gone.
.0-4 record for Andrew Bailey. 37 strikeouts, 11 walks, 319 earned run average. And for the young right-hander,
Now batting, number 27.
He was the American League Rookie of the Year back in 2009. Rick Porcello finished 3rd for that honor that year. 26 saves in that first season. And Peralta fouls it back 0-1.
last couple of years, the Rookie of the Year in the American League has been a closer. Neptali Feliz got that honor last year, the Texas Rangers.
There's a drive to left center field. That ball gets down. It's a base hit. Peralta is aboard with his first hit this afternoon.
Johnny Peralta still trying to hit 300 for the first time in his big league career.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen, for the Tigers.
And it looks like Carlos Guillen will pinch hit for Brandon Inge.
9, Carlos Guillen.
Guillen bothered by a sore wrist, which has kept him on the disabled list for much of the second half. He has had some big years in a Tigers uniform. And Guillen looks at ball 1.
He's played everywhere too. He came over as a shortstop. He's played some third, played second. He's played first. He's played some left field. He's been a really good teammate for a number of years in a Tigers uniform.
1 ball, 1 strike.
A lot of pop in his bat. Loves the fastballs down and in, just as most left-handers do. And it's hard to throw one by him too.
Two and 1. 35 years old now, Carlos Guillen. He'll turn 36 at the end of the month.
Here's that fastball count. And should Bailey decide to challenge Carlos Guillen with a 2-1 heater.
Fouled away. 2-2 on Guillen, who knocked in as many as 102 runs. That was his high water mark back in the 07 season for Detroit. But the last 2 years, though, have been marred by injuries. Hamstring problems, had a knee injury last year. And he takes low. 3-2.
Provides a lot of leadership. Delman Young was talking a couple of days ago about Carlos Guillen noticing something in his swing during batting practice, and he corrected it, and he homered in the first game of this series.
Right back up the middle into center. Back-to-back hits for the Tigers here in the 9th inning.
So it's always nice to have some veteran players on your team, some guys with some really good numbers on the backs of their bubblegum card that are willing to give you advice.
Yeah, and that's the key. And certainly I'm sure when Guillen came up and guys like Maglio, when they came up, Ordonez, they had some guys that helped them through the early seasons.
Yeah, everyone has a mentor.
Here is Don Kelly. He will pinch hit for Danny Worth. Jim Leland going to the bench here with a couple of pinch hitters. Ball 1, and now Suzuki will head out to the mound.
And Don Kelly, very valuable player to the Tigers 25-man roster. He can literally play every single position on the field, and has even caught an inning this year. Many days this year the Tigers really only had one catcher, and Martinez couldn't catch because he had some injuries, so that meant Avila was catching every day.
And it was Kelly who was on call in emergency situations. Kelly homered in the ball game yesterday. A big home run late.
And Bailey struggling with his command here in the 9th inning.
There's a strike. 2-1.
Don't know what it is with closers, but when it's not a closing situation, and we've seen many closers just struggle trying to get those final 3 outs.
Yeah, it seems to be universal. He shows bunt. There's the strike. 2-2.
That's the one thing you don't ever really want to do is square the bunt and then take a strike. It's okay to do it when there's no strikes, but you don't want to do that to create a 2-strike situation.
Lifted down the left field line. Out of the reach of Sizemore. Well, there's Alex Avila, who got the day off at the beginning of the day. And Avila, earlier on this road trip for Detroit, hit a huge home run and a comeback win in Chicago in a pinch hitting role. There's ball 3 low. 3-2 on Don Kelly. As Bailey continues to scuffle here in the 9th after getting one very quick out. He got Martinez quickly. Driven to right field. That's a base hit and maybe more. It's going to split the gap and go all the way to the wall. 2 runs will come in. And Don Kelly has a 2-run pinch hit double. A 5-3 ball game.
It's a really good swing by Don Kelly. It's a 3-2 fastball, and he splits the gap in the outfield in right center field. And that plates 2. And Kelly was entertaining thoughts of trying to stretch that double into a triple himself, and he thought better of it.
Your attention, please. Ladies and gentlemen.
Peralta scores. Guillen scores behind him.
Number 13, Alex Avila.
Tigers had a huge come from behind win, as you mentioned, a few days ago in Chicago, where they were trailing by 3 runs in the 9th inning. They tied it up in the 9th, and they won it in the 10th.
And it was Avila whose home run tied the game. And as you look at his numbers among catchers in the American League, awfully impressive. He was an all-star this year.
Sensational season. And he's also handled a really good pitching staff. You got to look for your fastball on the first pitch when you come up as a pinch hitter. And that's why Bailey threw him a slider.
Pinch hit single by Guillen. 2-run pinch hit double by Don Kelly. And all of a sudden it's 5-3.
Avila was able to do something that not many players get a chance to do, and that was celebrate in the Tigers clubhouse last night with his dad.
Right.
His dad is the assistant general manager to Dave Dombrowski here in Detroit, and they were simply having a really good time in the clubhouse last night. Really nice bond, really nice to see.
He told his dad, Al, this has been quite a year for you. Your son makes the all-star team. There's Al on the left. And your team, not just a playoff appearance, so quite a season.
John Westhoff, who handles the finances for the Tigers, and the middle, of course, seated to the right was David Dombrowski, the vice president and general manager.
Bouncing ball foul, first base side.
Excuse me, Dave's the president and general manager. Got to make sure we get that right.
0-2. You never want to upset the president, do you?
None of the presidents.
0-2 on Avila. That home run that he hit the other day was his first pinch hit appearance of the year, and he made the most of it. And there is strike 3 called as Bailey hits the outside corner, and Avila barks at Jim Reynolds. It's a big strikeout for Bailey. 2 gone.
Now batting
Avila may have thought it was a little bit outside.
Yeah, Kurt Suzuki held it there for a long time and gave Jim Reynolds a really nice look at it.
And Jackson cuts and misses. He's the final chance now for Detroit. One and one on Austin Jackson, who today is hitless. He has a walk. Don Kelly still standing at second base after delivering a pinch hit double. 2-1. And that is the 24th pitch thrown by Bailey here. Swing and a miss. So Bailey has reduced this one to 1 strike. A's fans coming to their feet. 2-2 on Jackson. He takes high. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. He struck him out, and Bailey has to struggle through the 9th, but he eventually gets it done. Tigers score a couple of runs here in the 9th, but they will fall a couple of runs short one day after they clinch the American League's Central Division title. The A's win it here today by a score of 5-3. We'll wrap things up from Oakland right after these messages from your local Fox station.